Hi Natalia. Hi Christine. How are you? How are you feeling? It's a long, slow process getting over that sort of loss, Christine, isn't it? I do feel for you. It's never easy. Hi Natasha. Hello Maureen. Hi Jill. Yes, sun's shining down here today as well. It's I've actually had to open the window in my craft room because it's a bit warm, which really isn't it isn't normally at this time of year, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's the start of spring, but I'm sure it'll come back and bite me on the posterior, as it were. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay and picture looks good, so I think we'll get going, and then it's going up on YouTube later on today anyway, so anybody that misses any bits can catch up later. So this is the card I'm going to be making today. It's going to be a little bit noisy because I've got one of the older embossing heat guns, and it's a bit noisy, so I apologise in advance for the embossing noise, but it's worth it, trust me. I'm just going to see if I can bring that in a little bit more so that you can see the detail a little bit better. I just wait for my iPad to catch up. I think that's better. Can you all see that okay? Does it need to come in any more, or are you all happy with that? I can lift it up and whatever anyway. So yeah, we're using one stamp, 1 sentiment, a stencil and some embossing powder. Dead simple. All you've got to make sure of, which I didn't on here, is that you remember to cover up the blue embossing when you add the pink embossing. Otherwise your blue ends up looking a bit bluey pink. But you know, hey ho. Hi Sarah. How are you? Right, don't think I've missed any comments yet. Right, so what am I going to be using? The main thing that I'm going to be using today is this stamp set. It's the Florals Volume 1 A5 stamp set, which has a set of dies to match it. They are on Lisa's website, and I have to say they are in the sale. They're $14.99 at the moment for the stamps and the die set, which is just fractionally under half price. So if you were thinking about them and you didn't get them, now's a good time to get them, because they're so useful. You can just use them without any colour. They're just a versatile set of stamps and dies, and I love them. This is my absolute favourite, the Cherry Blossom branch. I love that. So that's the one I'm using today. So those are my stamps. And then the sentiment that I'm going to put with it, this one came from the Be Happy Part 1 stamp set, which unfortunately isn't available anymore. So I've swapped today's and I'm using this one, Smile Happy Looks Good on You, because I just think that's a really nice sentiment. If you just want to send a card to cheer somebody up. Hi Anne, how are you? I just think that's a really nice sentiment to cheer somebody up. So that's from the Be Happy Part 2 stamp set, and they're also still available on the website. So let's get cracking, because there's quite a bit of embossing to do on here, and I want to get that right. So first thing I'm going to do is just sit my card up there so that I can see what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm going to mask off the top part of the card, and I'm only going to leave a small piece at the top of the card, because don't forget that not only would help if it was straight, Dawn, wouldn't it? Not only have you got the piece that you can see, but you've also got all this piece behind the masking tape as well. So you've got quite a reasonable area. As you can see on here, that's quite a reasonable gap. So same at the bottom, roughly about the same as you've left at the top. And what you want to make sure of is that in this space your stamp will fit. Now it doesn't have to be all of the stamp, because I've taken the actual branch part of the stamp over the tape, because I'm not worried about this part of it. I just want all the flower on it. So that fits nicely in there, and my sentiment is going to fit nicely alongside there as well. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this first in Versamark. Just get my copy paper for my embossing powder, because I don't want it all over me messy mat. Although, you know, you can emboss on your messy mat, that's what it's perfect for, but because I'm doing stuff afterwards, I don't want the embossing powder on my pad. So I just ink this up with my Versamark. If you're using a light coloured embossing powder, make sure that your embossing pad is a reasonably clean one. I do have others which don't look like a white pad at all, and you want to avoid using something like that, because otherwise it's going to transfer onto your card. So I'm going to put this in here first, and there's no measurements, I haven't measured how far in it goes, or I haven't measured these. It's just how you want your card to look, so it's personal choice, so no measurements at all. Now you know what I didn't do? I'm going to do that again, because I didn't use, see, it's a good job I had more than one card blank ready, just in case I messed up, which, you know, 5 minutes into the demo isn't bad, is it? So I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to put that on the bottom, about the same, and then I'm going to do the bit that I forgot. Use my anti-static bag to rub all over the back there, so that my embossing powder only sticks to, and I'm also going to rub my scrap paper so that I can tip it back into the tub easily. So, start again. Ink it up on my Versamark pad and stamp it down where I want it on the card, like so. Now you're not going to be able to see anything, because obviously it's a Versamark pad, so it's only going to leave a vague impression on here, so you're not going to be able to see anything yet. I'm going to stamp both pieces, just so that I'm doing as little heat embossing as possible, and then I'm going to pop that over the other side, and hopefully it's pretty straight. It probably isn't now I've said that, looking at the tape, but never mind. So I'm going to do this in blue, because I want it to stand out against the stenciling that I'm doing afterwards. And the way I do this is hold my card at an angle, tip the embossing powder over, and that way you don't use as much embossing powder as if you just sort of tip it straight on the top, if you know what I mean. I'm just going to use a little brush just to brush away any little bits of embossing powder that I don't want on there. The anti-static bag makes it a lot easier, but obviously I don't want to tap all the glitter off here, because it's such a heavy glitter content in this embossing powder, which is absolutely fabulous. I don't want all that glitter to disappear when I tap the back of the card, which is why I decided to redo it, because I didn't use the anti-static bag on the first one, and I know that it would have made a really big difference. So just put the lid on that for now, and just get that out of the way. Now this is where I'm going to do my bit of heat embossing, so you're going to have to bear with me. with the noise of the heat gun for a while. So just bear with me a sec, just let that warm up. And then just heat emboss your flower and your sentiment. Always love to watch embossing powder turn when you're heating it. I don't think there's anything quite like watching it turn. I don't normally like doing the heat embossing on camera, but I think sometimes it's just good to see the card from start to finish, and I just want to make sure that it's actually all done, so that when I come to do my stenciling, it's not going to move. Right, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to leave it a couple of seconds just to make sure that the heat has gone from this. Just make sure it's all embossed as it should be and it's not going to move. Right, fab. So the next thing I'm going to do is do my stenciling. And the stencil that I'm going to be using is the A5 Tiles stencil. Hi Helen. No problem. Children's food comes first, otherwise it makes your life a misery. So I'm using the Tiles stencil. I love this stencil. I know it's one that Lisa uses quite a lot, and I think the effect that you get through stenciling this is just so pretty. To me, when you stencil through it, it doesn't look like the picture. I'm sure you'll see what I mean when I've actually done it. So, put my stencil over my card. Now normally I wouldn't tape this down, but because I don't want it to move, I am going to tape it down today. I wouldn't normally, I'd normally just hold it and wing it, but I don't want to do that today. I really want it to be exactly where it should be without moving. So I do think it can spoil the effect of your card. Don't worry about your card not lying flat. It will lie flat eventually. It's only because you've used heat on it. So I'm using 2 Distress Oxides, and I'm using the new Kitsch Flamingo and Tumbled Glass, because they're 2 of my favourite colours. I knew I would use this Kitsch Flamingo a lot when I first saw it come out. I just think it's a fabulous colour. And I'm just randomly, I'm hardly pressing on here, because this Kitsch Flamingo, with it being new, is quite a vibrant pink, to be honest. But that's fine. It will blend down when I put the Tumbled Glass on, which you'll see in a second. Christine, are you having problems with your watching me? Because you're watching me an awful lot. I hope it's okay for you. Now don't worry about the fact that you're going to be colouring the actual flower. That's not going to make any difference. It's still going to stand out on the actual card, because the stenciling's going to appear like it's in the background. So don't worry about that. Obviously I'm using Lisa's Wonder brushes, which are absolutely fabulous. I know they're sold out at the moment, I think. I don't remember seeing them on the website, I might be wrong, but when they come back in, if you can afford them, I would definitely treat yourself, because they're just superb. I mean, I'm hardly putting any pressure on here at all, and the colour that's coming off this brush is just brilliant. I wish my tape was a bit better, but obviously I need new tape. I'll just put a little bit more blue in there. I'll just lift that off at the top, just to see what it looks like. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I think I'll leave that at that. Okay. So, next thing I want to do is get my 2 lines of embossing these two lines here. And the way I did that was used very thin red double-sided tape, because it does stick really, really well, and it the embossing powder embosses really well on it as well. So I'm just going to run that along. I'm actually going to take that off and run it along the top there, because I don't want to lose the top of that flower. But because you've used a piece of tape, you can see that the line is straight, so your line of tape is going to be straight as well. She said, fingers crossed. Takes a little bit of time, it's a bit fiddly, but it's well worth the effort. Lost my scissors. And I'm going to do the same down at the bottom here. It's very quick, simple card, but I think it looks so effective when it's finished. It looks as though you've spent hours on it. I mean, obviously those people who craft know you haven't, but it's the thought that counts at the end of the day, isn't it? Hi Lisa. Well, you're such a tease. You really are. Right, so I've put my tape down there, and now I want to cover up this piece here, because I don't want any embossing powder to sit on here, because when I did this one I forgot that when you're using oxides they can stay a little bit wet, so that the embossing powder did sort of stray over onto my stenciling a little bit. Not that I think it spoilt it, I don't think it has. So what I'm going to do is use a piece of paper, and I'm just going to mark where my tape is here, because I want this piece of paper to fit inside this panel here. I'll cut that off there. Just use my trimmer. See, I'd already cut a piece of paper to fit, but that was when I was leaving my masking tape on my card, and then I've changed it, haven't I? So never mind. So I'll cover that piece up there, and then I'm going to reuse my, no, I'm not going to reuse my masking tape even. I'm just going to peel this off like that. I'm going to peel, I think I'll do it one at a time, I think. It might be a bit easier. So I'm just going to hold that piece of paper in place and then tip my embossing powder. Just look at the sparkle in there. This is what I mean about these embossing powders. They've just got such a high sparkle content. They're incredible. And then tip off the excess. And again, what didn't I do? I didn't use my anti-static bag, did I? So now, I'm just going to brush this excess glitter, embossing powder glitter, off here, so that I don't get any where I don't want it. This worked so much better yesterday. Obviously I haven't done it exactly the same today, so it's the beauty of using this red tape is because you've put the embossing powder on the red tape, you're not going to lose any embossing powder by brushing it off like that. So I'll do that one, and then I'm going to do the other one before I emboss the piece I've already done. No, I'm not. I'm going to emboss it now because I don't want it to spill over. So heat gun coming up, bear with. I really need a quieter heat gun, I think. It doesn't take long at all, really. Just to emboss that piece along the top there. And then I'm going to do the same again down here. Put my piece of paper back over here so that it doesn't go where I don't want it to go. Dip my embossing powder over the tape. You'd think I'd learn from my mistakes, wouldn't you? You'd think I would remember to use the anti-static bag because I didn't remember to use it the first time. But no. Head like a sieve. But it won't matter because if I just run my brush along there, I can take off that excess and it's not going to, because I don't want embossing powder where it shouldn't be, do I? Take that off there and then just flick away any bits that escaped underneath my paper. There we go. Put this back in my pot before I blow it everywhere with my heat gun, which is my next favourite trick. I'm just absolutely blown away by the amount of glitter in this. I know I've said it 2 or 3 times, but I mean, look at that. I'm going to wait for my camera to catch it up. But can you see the amount of glitter that's in that embossing powder? How fabulous is that? It's just brilliant, isn't it? Don't you think that's amazing? I think that's fab. Anyway, I digress. So, just quickly, I'm going to do this away from the camera, just because it's a little bit quieter. I really need a quieter heat one, don't I? But it does emboss beautifully. I think it's just fabulous stuff. So, when I did the sample, I thought, yeah, I like that. And then I looked at it again and I thought, you know what? Actually, it's missing something. So, I thought I'd use the pink as well. Oh, I've done my tape. There we go. So what I did was exactly the same thing. And I just ran an extra piece of tape. I left a tiny gap between the blue and the pink. And I've just put another piece of tape underneath that blue. Now this is where my masking tape will get used, because I don't want any pink glitter on my blue glitter, which is what I got yesterday. So I'll just do the same at the top. And again, I'm going to do them individually, I think, because it's embossing powder and sometimes it does have a little bit of a mind of its own in where it wants to go. But so just give that a quick rub along there and a quick rub along the top, so that hopefully it won't go where I don't want it to go. Now where's my other piece of paper? There it is. So I'm going to pop that along there, and then I'm going to use my masking tape and I'm going to pop that, excuse my head if you can see my head, I do apologise, along there so that it covers the blue and my paper, so that I'm sticking my paper to the card in effect, but I'm also protecting that blue from getting any pink on it. Okay, so hopefully that piece of paper now will protect the middle piece of the card. So I'm just going to peel this tape off here, she said. And I'm going to do them both at the same time because I can. You know, when you're practicing this and you're setting it all up, this tape peels off, no problem at all. It's only when you come to do it on camera that it decides it doesn't want to peel off. So, you don't say, Sarah. I can't believe you like shiny things. So I'm just going to add my pink to my tape at the bottom, and then I'll just redo that little bit there. And I'm going to add my pink along the top. And again, the glitter in this is fab. So you see, using the anti-static bag really does make a difference, because I haven't got any where I don't want it on that one. So just pop this back in my pot before it goes everywhere. Put that to one side. Now I'm actually going to peel the tape and the paper off here before I emboss it, because I don't want the heat gun to affect this tape and make it stick where I don't want it to stick. Right, I'm doing this off camera, so talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds while I just emboss this pink. And it doesn't take any time at all, really. That's the other thing I like about it. It embosses beautifully and it embosses quickly. I think it's always worth just warming your heat gun up first a little bit. Ow. I didn't burn my fingers then, honestly. It was just sound effects. Okay. So, there we go. And I think that pink, either side of the blue, just finishes it off really well. So, these were the embossing powders that I've used, and I've used the pink and the blue. And these are the Summer Bright Sparkle Embossing Powders, which again are still on Lisa's website. And they're a good price. They will last you ages and ages and ages. I mean, I've hardly made an inroad into my two. And I've used the purple one quite a bit, and I've still, it just looks untouched, to be honest. So I was going to leave it at that, and then I thought people will be disappointed if I don't do what I normally do, which is add my pearls. And then I thought, oh crikey, have I got pearls that are going to match this card? Well, of course I've got pearls that are going to match this card, because it's Lisa. Now Lisa bought out these AB pearls some time ago now, and these are called Rainbow Skies. No, Rainbow Collection. One set is Cool Skies and the other set is Summer Sun. And I sorted all my pearls out ages ago, and I split them all into different colours, and I'd done the same with these. And then I dropped the box, or rather my husband knocked the box off. So they all got mixed up. But now I've actually sat and looked at the picture, the photograph, and I've split them up again. So this set here, the Cool Skies, is the ones I'm using today, because they've actually got a pink and blue mix, and the shine on them, because they've got that AB finish on them, just finishes this card perfectly. Well, I think it does myself. I mean, I love Lisa's pearls anyway, but these particularly, I think, are just such a fabulous colour. I mean, there's the blue pink, which is this one that I'm using today, and then there's a red green, and there's a orangey red, and then the other one is a blue green mix. So they will go with a multitude of different colour schemes, to my way of thinking, and I think I just think they finish a card off, just adding that little final touch. So yeah, I'm happy with that, and I don't think it looks dissimilar to the one that I showed you on the event banner, so I'm quite pleased with that. And I just think, if you're not a colourist and you don't like colouring stamps, or you just want to use the stamps as is, that's a perfect way to use them. You don't have to colour things in for it to look fantastic. You can do it totally monochrome if you want to, but I just like that effect. And I don't know whether you can see what I mean now about the stencil when you've inked through it not quite looking like the actual stencil. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, oh yes, I like that stencil, oh wow, I really like that stencil. Using it gives you a different finish to what you actually think it's going to give you, and I just think that's a really nice touch. So there you go, there's my card for today. I shall think of something different for next week, hopefully. Claire will be back with you on Tuesday. I will put this up onto our YouTube channel this afternoon. I think Claire's video is now up. I know she had problems on Tuesday, but you know, that's technology for you, it can't be helped. But I think her video is now up on YouTube, or if it isn't already, it will be today. Heidi will be back with us on Wednesday, and then I'll be back with you next Friday. And then Lisa's back on your telly box on the 8th of March with some absolutely stunning products. I know I say it every time she's on TV, and I wish I could find different words, but they are really stunning, and they're going to work with everything you've already got. That is, I would say that is Lisa's USP, that everything she produces you can use with everything you've already got, and that will go on and on and on. So bear that in mind when you see what she's bringing you on the 8th of March. So I'll love you and leave you. Have a fabulous weekend. I hope you enjoyed today, and I will pop the video up on YouTube later on this afternoon. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.